Hi, Gothard from Sharetribe here. In this video, I'm going to show you how you can use Console's filtering tools to analyze your marketplace data. In Console, user, listing, and transaction management all have default filters as well as filters that depend on your marketplace setup: user types, categories, listing types, custom listing fields, etc. You can filter data by one condition or combine multiple conditions. That's what we're looking into in this video. I'll go through some filtering combinations to demonstrate how filtering can help you discover deeper and interconnected insights about your marketplace data. So let's dive in. And we're starting with filtering users, so go to Users in the Manage section. Next to the search bar, you'll find the filters. Click Open the Filter selection and you can see all of the default filters. And if you want to learn more about what each of these means, check out an article in our Help Center. There's a link to that below. In addition to those, you'll have the filter User Type if you have user types enabled in your marketplace. You can combine these filters in any way to discover data. Let's go through a couple of examples of how to use filters here in user management. For example, I want to check how many providers or teachers, since the sample marketplace is for yoga classes, joined in the last 3 months. So I filter by created at and at dates within the past 3 months, and then I'll choose the filter user type and choose the value teacher, and apply those filters to the page. Now I can see all teachers that joined in that period. I can also check how many buyers joined in the same time frame by changing the user type filter to buyer, and already see that at least in this sample marketplace, the buyer to seller ratio is pretty bad. Usually, or even most of the time, you do need more customers than providers. Other things I could check is whether my teachers have verified their emails. Otherwise, they might not be receiving notifications and miss out on bookings. And that I can do by choosing the filter has verified email and choose yes or no. I could also check which teachers are all set up to accept bookings. That means filtering for data where number of listings is at minimum 1 and has added payout details is yes. Or I could look into the buyers on my marketplace. For example, I could check which customers who joined in the last 3 months have booked at least 1 yoga session. So I change the user type filter to buyer and filter by number of transactions minimum 1. Yeah, that's just a few ways you can use filters to discover user insights. Now, let's move on to listings, so go to the Listings tab. We'll go through some of the ways in which we can filter this bunch of data to get more specific insights. Same as user management, you'll find the filters next to the search bar. There, you'll find all the default filters. Again, more info about each of them available in the Help Center, link below. In addition to these default filters, you may also have quite a few custom filters that have been added based on your no-code listing setup. Any custom listing field, other than text, that you've also added as a search filter on your marketplace will appear here automatically. You can edit your custom listing setup in the listing settings in the build section of Console, in listing type, listing category, and listing field settings. You'll also notice that any custom field you've added have been marked pub for public data, meaning that this data can be viewed by all users. Okay, so let's start filtering. For example, I could check how many listings from the past month are still in draft mode, that is, have not been published yet. I'll filter by created at in the last 3 months and filter by the listing state draft. When I click apply, Console shows me all the listings that haven't been published. The providers might still be working on them, but if you notice a lot of draft listings, it might be worth it to investigate further. Go through the listing creation process yourself, for example. Is there something blocking your users from publishing their listings? I can also filter by my custom data. For example, I could check based on my custom field difficulty, which yoga skill level is best represented in listings that have at least 1 booking. And with some additional research, this could help me target the right audience for my marketplace. I can also check which listings are not getting transactions here. Filter by number of transactions and enter 0 as the maximum value. For some filters like this one, or created at, for example, you can filter by a minimum or maximum value when you leave the other field empty. And then click apply. So these are the providers who haven't received a single booking. That's understandable for new listings, so let's see how many of these were created in the past month. Based on the numbers, it does seem that a larger amount is older listings. So let's confirm that and filter for listings that were created over a month ago. And we'll add one more filter, state published, to filter out closed or draft listings. And we can see that that's still quite a few listings without any bookings. So, how can I help these providers get more customers? This would be a good time to do some research. Is the listing quality bad? What are the providers who are getting bookings doing differently? Or maybe it's just that I don't have enough customers. How can I get more of them on board? So that was a few ways you can filter listings in Console. And finally, we'll take a look at the transaction filters. So go to the Transactions tab next. Next to the search, just like with the other two pages, you'll find the filters. There are plenty of default filters to use as conditions for transactions. You can find a full list of what each of these default filters means in the Help Center, and there's also a link below. So let's do some example filtering. For example, I could check how many transactions didn't lead to a payment in the past 3 months. Payments mean revenue for providers and my marketplace, so they're pretty relevant. Add the filters created at in the last 3 months, and then has a payment, yes. Click apply, and we can see that that's only 10 out of 53. But also I can see right away that not all of these bookings were completed. This means a payment was made, but it may have expired before the booking ever took place. It's always worth investigating if transactions tend to not progress to the payment or payout stages. Are providers not getting notified of bookings and thus don't know that they're happening, or are they no longer active on your marketplace at all? What could you do to activate them again? So to see how many bookings actually progress to the end, I can filter this further with payout state paid. This means that the provider got their payment from the marketplace and the marketplace collected their commission. Okay, based on these results, if this was a real marketplace, these numbers would definitely be concerning. But luckily, in my case, this is just a sample marketplace we use for testing and demos at Sharetribe. I can immediately notice one more thing in this group. It seems that some of the review periods have expired, meaning that the participants didn't leave each other reviews. Reviews are super important for marketplaces, as others' positive experiences often impact the purchase decision for new customers. So let's confirm that and filter further by has a review. And yes, I learned that my colleagues are super bad at leaving reviews on their test transactions. Luckily for me, this is just a sample marketplace, and this is not a huge crisis, but on a real marketplace, this would definitely be worth investigating and seeing what you could do in your user journeys to encourage people to leave more reviews. And don't forget, you can always clear all filters you've applied to go back to your full dataset. You can also take shortcuts between different data. Open a transaction card and click to visit the listing or either participant directly from there. And if you're customizing your marketplace with code, you can also add custom extended data to the list of filters with Sharetribe's APIs for an even more unique filtering setup. So that's how you use filtering tools in Sharetribe Console in a nutshell. These filters can help you monitor marketplace performance and spot patterns in your data and identify areas that might need your attention. Thank you so much for watching.